This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. They're offering you a very generous and very specific 83% off with 3 extra months for free. Use the promo code Jack Howard. I'll leave the link in the description and I'll tell you more about them at the end of the video. Check it out. Got the mic in shot like all the other cool YouTubers these days. I might even adjust it just for no apparent reason, just throughout the video. Just a little bit further up, maybe a little bit closer. You never know what's going to happen. In my previous video, which was all about heartwarming films, people were very upset and offended that I didn't bring up Paddington or Paddington 2 in my list. However, all that's really happened is that you have outed yourself as a fake fan. Yep. Because if you'd listened to the Kermode on Film podcast, which is a podcast I make with Mark Kermode, it's me and Mark Kermode talking about films. It's called Kermode on Film. It's a podcast. I'm not sure if I've brought that up before. I'll leave the link in the description. If you'd listened to said podcast, you'd know that I absolutely did bring up Paddington and Paddington 2. I just didn't want to repeat the same list in the video. I wanted the video's list to be more a list of movies that you might not have seen or ones that might have passed you by, rather than a list of films that we all know and love. However, to make it up to you, I thought I'd dedicate an entire video to Paddington. I mean, let's be honest, he deserves it anyway. But also, I have a hot take on Paddington 2. Yeah, that's right, you heard me. Everyone gather round. Jack's got a hot take on the Talking Bear movie. The second one. But obviously this hot take has got absolutely nothing to do with the quality of the film, because I, like everybody else, absolutely adore both of them. I remember seeing the first Paddington in the cinema and thinking, this is probably going to be another one of those films where they take a classic children's character, make them CGI and put them in a bang average film. Nope, turned out to be one of my favourite films of the year, and then they followed it up with arguably an even better film. And I'm not sure if you know this, but Paddington 2 is the highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's not even close. Toy Story 2 takes second place. They've both got 100%, but Paddington 2 has got like 160 something more reviews, so I don't think it's going to be losing that title anytime soon. But anyway, let's get on to my smoking hot take of Paddington 2. Spoilers ahead, obviously, but if you haven't seen the Paddington films, what are you doing? I even got a tweet recently from somebody asking, can I watch Paddington 2 if I haven't seen Paddington 1? I mean, I guess, but why would you want less Paddington in your life? At the end of Paddington 2, there's a big action scene that takes place on a train, and Paddington gets trapped in a carriage that crashes underwater. Mrs. Brown bravely dives in to try and save him, but she can't break the chains. And there's a moment when you feel like all is lost. Until Paddington's friends that he made in prison, it's a bit weird when you have to explain it like this, they arrive in the nick of time, they help Mrs. Brown break the door open and get Paddington to safety. A few days later, he wakes up surrounded by the Brown family. He's led downstairs and met by all of his neighbours who we've seen throughout the film, and finally he opens the door and is greeted by Aunt Lucy. He gives her a huge hug, wishes her a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Aunt Lucy.
And there's not a dry eye in the house. If you don't cry at the end of Paddington 2, you're not human. It's a beautiful ending, and I'm going to ruin it for you, because I don't think it's real. I think it's a fantasy. I don't think Paddington makes it. When he's in that carriage under the water, I think that's it. When he wakes up surrounded by the Brown family, that's his idea of heaven. And he's led downstairs and applauded upon his arrival. And then he meets Aunt Lucy, who before this moment was in the home for retired bears. I mean, that's euphemistic language, right? The home for retired bears? I'm sure this has made you feel something, whether or not it's broken your heart, made you sad, or maybe you're angry at me. Do I really, truly believe that the ending of this family film about a talking bear is that he's secretly dead? Do I think that I've figured out the real ending of what was intended? No, it's just interesting that you can read it that way. What I think happened was Paul King and Simon Farnaby, who wrote the film together, I think they looked at something like Toy Story 3. That would be my speculation, is that they looked at Toy Story 3 and said, We need a scene like the incineration scene, where you really believe that the characters might not make it. Then the catharsis that comes after it, the emotional payoff, the relief, is going to be so much greater. So when Paddington does meet Aunt Lucy, it's so much more emotional because you thought he was going to die about 5 minutes ago. As a person who makes stuff and a person who's a massive consumer of stuff, different interpretations, it's my jam. I've got something coming out in March. My friend Dodie, who's a musician you may have heard of, her debut album Build a Problem is out on March 26th, and you should pre-order it. And we've made something together for the release. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want to keep it a surprise. But what I'm really looking forward to is how it's going to be interpreted. Like, it feels like my ideas for it aren't really important anymore. Like, it will be interesting to see if they come across, but I'm more interested and more excited by the idea of, I wonder what people will see that I didn't intend, that's just there, that they're pulling out of it. That'll be exciting. But as somebody who just watches stuff, I love hearing about things that people think that I haven't seen. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's probably why I like Tenet so much, is because there's so many different theories and different interpretations flying around. There's no clear answer to something, and that, I think, is the best thing about art. And I'm probably a bit bored of seeing blah blah explained, like there's supposed to be one interpretation and one definitive answer to something, and there isn't. My brain whispered it to me. It was like, Paddington's dead. I was like, oh great, well thank you. Now I can't help but see that. So now I'm giving that to you. I realise that if he is dead, Paddington 3, which is in the works, probably going to be zombie Paddington. That's what I'd like to see it. I'm interested to know, what are your weird interpretations of something? Is there a movie or a TV show or a book or a piece of music or anything that you've interpreted in a way that doesn't make sense to anybody else? Let me know in the comments. And also, I'd like to hear your thoughts on my Paddington interpretation. And if you'd like to watch Paddington or Paddington 2 with my interpretation in mind, you can use Surfshark VPN. Surfshark helps you protect your data, but also it allows you to change your location so that you can watch content that's not available in your area. And the Paddington movies are available on Australian Netflix, so if you're not in Australia, like most of the world, you can change your location to Australia and watch the Paddington movies with my interpretation in mind, or not, depending on how morbid you're feeling. Surfshark are offering you 83% off with 3 extra months for free. Just use the promo code Jack Howard, and I'll leave the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Get the hell out of my room.